Hello friends, myself Amar. Now in this video, I will discuss about the lifecycle methods of React class component. Okay. Now here I have written a short note regarding the lifecycle phases of React class components, and the same you can find in the description of my video. Okay. Let's start. React component lifecycle methods can be defined as events that takes place from the birth to the death of that same component. These lifecycle events can be categorized in four parts or phases. The first part or the first phase is the mounting phase. Here the methods and events called when the component is mounted in the DOM tree. Here total four methods are called. Okay. The first method is the constructor. The constructor is a special and first method which is called when the component is created, and it is the place to set up the initial state and other initial values. It is called with the props as argument, and super props must be the first statement inside it. Now here I have written about the functionality of the methods. Now what will be the method signature that I will show you programmatically. After that, the second method is called getDerivedStateFromProps. This is called right before rendering the element in the DOM. It is a static method, and since this is a static method, this cannot be used inside this method. Okay. It takes two parameters, props and state. It is a place to set the state object based on the initial props. Okay. Now these two methods are not mandatory. We may or may not override these methods in our class component, but this render method is a required method. It must be used, and this method is used to output the HTML to the DOM. Okay. Then the last method which is called in this phase is the component did.Mount method. It is called after the component is rendered. Okay. Now let me discuss up to this programmatically. Then I will move to the next phase, that is the updating phase. Okay, now here what I have done inside the app.js, here I have used a component that is parent comp. Okay, now inside the custom components folder, I have created this parent comp, which is nothing but a class component, and in the class component, I have overridden all the lifecycle methods of the mounting phase. Okay, now the first method is the constructor. As you can see, it is taking props. The first statement is super of props. What this super of props will do, this will call the parent class constructor, and here the parent class is nothing but the component class. Then here I have used the state, and inside the state I have created a property named as channel name, having the value as equals code. Then I have printed a console.log with this message. Okay. Then I have used the second lifecycle method of mounting phase, that is the getDerivedStateFromProps, which is taking two parameters, props and state. Now it is a static method, and here also I have printed the corresponding log message. Okay. Then I have used the component did.Mount method. Now this method will be called at the last, because this was the last method of the mounting phase. Okay. Now here inside this component did.Mount, here again I have used the console.log to print this message. Then inside the render method, which is the required method, I have used this console.log, and I am printing this message parent component. Now up to this, if I run this, then you will be able to see in the browser parent component has been printed, and this is the lifecycle method which is called. The first method is the parent constructor is called, then parent getDerivedStateFromProps is called, then parent render is called, and then the last method parent component did.Mount is called. Okay. Now here what I will do is that here I have created one more class component, that is the child comp. Okay. Now inside the child comp, again I have written the same code which I have written in the parent component. Just I have changed the value from the parent to the child. Okay. As you can see, the entire code is same as I have written in the parent comp. Okay. And inside the render method, here I have displayed child component. Now what I will do is that I will use this child comp inside the parent comp. Okay. So here I will write child comp. Okay. Sorry, it will be child comp. Now after writing this, let me save and let me go to the browser. Then you will be able to see the lifecycle method calls once again. As you can see, parent constructor is called, then parent getDerivedStateFromProps is called, and parent render is called. After that, the child constructor is called. As you can see, the parent component did.Mount is not called. After the parent render, directly the child constructor is called. Then child getDerivedStateFromProps is called. Then child render is called. Then child component did.Mount is called. And after that, the parent component did.Mount is called. This means if we are including the child component inside the parent component, then the parent component did.Mount method will be called after calling all the lifecycle methods of the child component. Okay. Now, after this, let me move to the updating phase. Now, when the updating phase will be called, whenever there is a change in the state or props of the component, then the component is re-rendered. That phase is called as the updating phase. As you can see, here the methods and events called when the component is updated either due to the change in the state or props. Now in this phase, total 5 methods are called. GetDerivedStateFromProps. It is the first method that is called when the component gets updated. Then the second method is called is should_component_update. This method returns a boolean value that specifies whether the component should re-render or not. The default value is true. Then the third method is the render method, which is the required method. It is called when the component gets updated to re-render the HTML to the DOM with the new changes. All these statements are self-explanatory, right? Then the next method, which is called is getSnapshotBeforeUpdate. In this method, we have access to the props and state before the update. This means that even after the update, we can check what the values were before the update. If this method is present, we must include the component did.Update method, otherwise we will get an error. Okay. And the last method is component did.Update. It is called after the component is updated in the DOM. These are the 5 methods which will be called. Let me show you programmatically. Okay. Now here what I will do, inside the app.js, I will use another component which is parent of update, right? And as you can see here, I have created parent form update, and this is the entire code. As usual, I have written the same code and I have overridden the methods of the updating phase as well. As you can see, constructor, then getDerivedStateFromProps, then component did.Mount. After that, the lifecycle method of the updating phase, I have written should_component_update, and this method I have written with the corresponding log message. Then getSnapshotBeforeUpdate. As you can see, it is taking 2 parameters, previous prop and previous state. Here also I have written the corresponding log message. Then component did.Update, and here also I have written the console.log message with this particular message. Okay, and inside the render method, I have printed parent component. Okay, now let me remove this line for now. And here I have created a button with the caption change, and whenever this button will be called, whenever this button will be clicked, then this change name will be called. This is the arrow function. What it will do, it will just change the state, and by changing the state, what it will do, it will change the value of channel name from Ripple's code to YouTube channel Ripple's code. As you can see, initially the value was Ripple's code, right? And whenever the button will be clicked, then the state will change, and whenever the state will be changed, then the updating phase will be called. Now let me save up to this. Let me go to the browser, and you can see these methods are called for the mounting phase. Now whenever the button is clicked, then obviously the component will be re-rendered, and whenever it is re-rendered, then the methods will be called in this order. Parent getDerivedStateFromProps is called. This is the first method which is called. Then parent should_component_update is called. Then parent re-rendered is called. Then parent getSnapshotBeforeUpdate is called. And then parent component did.Update is called. This is the sequence or order in which the lifecycle method for the updating phase will be called for the parent component. Okay. Now here what I will do, inside this parent component, I will use one more component, that is child comp update. And inside the child comp update, I have written the same code which I have written in the parent com update except the button. As you can see, I have the constructor, I have the getDerivedStateFromProps, and instead of parent here I have just written child. Then component did mount, then should component update, then get snapshot before update, then component did update. Inside the render method, as you can see, I have just removed the button, and here I am printing child component, and this child comp update I am using inside the parent comp update. Okay. Now let me save up to this. Go to the browser. Now you can see up to this the lifecycle method for the mounting phase is called for both parent as well as the child. Okay. Now once I click on this change button, let me remove this. Let me clear the console. Now once I click here, then the operating phase will be called for both parent and child, and you can see the sequence in this log. Click here. Now you can see parent get derived state from props is called, then parent should component update is called, then parent render is called. Now after parent render, the child get derived state from props is called, then child should component update is called, then child render is called, then child get snapshot before update is called, then parent get snapshot before update is called, then child component get update is called, and after that at last the parent component get update is called. This is the order or the sequence will be called whenever we are including the child component inside the parent component, and this will be the entire sequence of the updating phases. Okay. Now after this, the third phase is the unmounting phase, as the name is suggesting. Here the methods and events called when the component is removed from the DOM. It has only one method which is called as the component will unmount method. Okay. And the last lifecycle phase is the error boundaries. It is a category that deals with handling or gracefully catching the errors in order not to totally break our application during rendering. Now, generally, whenever error occurs in our React application inside the constructor call or during the rendering, then our application breaks. Okay, to solve that or to provide or to not to break the entire application, we can use the error boundary. Okay, it has two methods. One is called as the getDerivedStateFromError. It takes one parameter which is error. It is used to render the fallback UI after the error is generated. Now, whenever the error will be generated inside this method, we can generate a fallback UI. Okay, and the second method of this error boundary is the component getCatch. It is used to log the error information. Okay. Now, I will discuss more about the error boundary in my upcoming videos. Okay. So that's it. This was the lifecycle phases and methods of the React class component. This is the entire theory which I will share in the description of my video, and this was the entire code. Okay, I hope you have liked my video. If you have liked my video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.